Michigan's Upper Peninsula is world-renowned for its unparalleled wealth of natural beauty and resources. From Lake Superior's cold, clear waters to the diverse landscapes with precious metals deep within, to the extraordinary and world-renowned forests. These trees are inextricably linked to our communities and culture. The Upper Peninsula of Michigan is one of the most heavily forested regions in the country, and the forest is where we feel at home. Forests provide everything from clean air to recreation to majestic wildlife to our critical supply of wood resources. This balance of ecosystem services is possible through the sustainable management of forests, which has been the approach in the UP for over a century. With sustainable forest management, the forests can provide Michigan a wealth of renewable resources forever. So, it is imperative that the forest products industry here stays strong, not just for the communities that depend on it directly for jobs and prosperity, but to all who enjoy a healthy forest and all it provides. Forests are also an important solution to address the climate crisis by absorbing carbon from the atmosphere, storing carbon in wood, and displacing carbon emissions when used to replace non-renewable materials. Trees can do so much, and so it's more important than ever to keep forests as forests. The more we realize the many values of the forest, the more likely we care for them. The air we breathe literally depends on the fate of these woods. New technologies are being utilized that create value beyond the current conventional uses of wood, and are also an important part of a quickly emerging, more holistic framework called the bioeconomy. So, let's dive deeper into the idea of the forest bioeconomy in Michigan and what it could mean for all Michiganders and the world. To get to a point where the idea of the bioeconomy is the way of the future, we must first push past our old ways of doing things and seize the opportunities that this change can bring. Possible signs of this transition are already beginning with the recent shutdown of mills in nearby towns in Wisconsin and Duluth, Minnesota.
Well, certainly in the Upper Peninsula, we have some challenges, right? We have seen some communities lose some of its workforce by virtue of what's happened with some mill shutdowns, as an example.
Currently, over 1/3 of all of Michigan's wood goes to two pulp mills owned by Verso Corporation, one in Quinnipiac and one in Escanaba. Their primary product is coated free sheet. So coated free sheet is especially popular for magazine pages and covers, and unfortunately, as we move towards digital and away from glossy magazines and things like that, the demand for that product is declining 10 to 12% annually across not just the nation, but I think around the world. But as the decline for some of these kinds of uses of wood happen, other uses are on the rise. And this means there's really big changes in the works, a real transformation of our relationship to the forest and wood products, and of course the jobs that depend on them. So it's a kind of a scary time, but it's also a time for opportunity and a time to really prepare for and start engaging in that transition.
If things continue at the current rate of decline, many good-paying jobs are in jeopardy. But people in the UP are far from discouraged, and with good reason. There is real opportunity centered around the bioeconomy that we are seeing across the country and around the world. The aim? To remake and increase the manufacturing of wood products grown in the UP from dwindling, low-value products to high-value, innovative products.
We think that Michigan has a real opportunity to move from low-value wood products to higher-value wood products. And currently we are shipping timber and raw lumber out of the state to other states who are producing higher-value wood products. And we think we can do that right here.
We're hungry for economic opportunity. I think there's real opportunity in the bioeconomy. In fact, I would say, and it's a bold statement, that we are uniquely situated with some of the natural assets that we have in the Upper Peninsula to be a leader with the bioeconomy.
There are two rapidly emerging technologies that look especially promising for the UP to lead the bioeconomy. The first of which involves a different approach to the way large buildings are constructed by using wood instead of concrete or steel. Gluing lumber together to form thick panels and beams is generically called mass timber, and its most popular panel form is known as cross-laminated timber, or CLT.
Buildings are responsible for approximately 40% of all the world's greenhouse gases. And we're seeing also another trend of increased urbanization. Folks really want to live in cities, and we need more housing and we need more buildings for them to live in. And so that demand is going to be driving up carbon emissions for the foreseeable future. So we really need a sustainable, carbon-friendly building material. Right now, wood is the top contender.
Concrete and steel are large carbon-emitting production processes. And so by utilizing wood, you can vastly reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and you're also producing buildings that are very aesthetically pleasing.
So mass timber is the technique to use a lot of wood in the structural components of those buildings. So it displaces the use of concrete and steel, and we get tremendous carbon storage and carbon savings from offsets from not using those carbon-intensive materials.
While it is still relatively early in its development, large mass timber buildings have already started in Michigan. Michigan State University is well underway in the construction of a mass timber building on their campus. And there are also plans to break ground on a mass timber building on the campus of Michigan Technological University and for a DNR field office in Newberry.
We're really grateful that the state of Michigan is piloting one of the state buildings now in Newberry as a mass timber building. We know Michigan Tech is looking at a prospect of building a mass timber building. And I think by using those examples, it will better highlight the opportunity.
So this shows how universities can really pave the way and start establishing those supply chains that reduces the risk for private industry to really move into the state and start building buildings in a cost-effective way. And while things are happening in the Midwest, we're still a bit behind the West Coast, and we're behind other regions in the world like Europe and Canada. So we know these things can be done, and it's just a matter of really establishing those supply chains, the customer base, and getting things underway.
Michigan has the capacity to support softwood mass timber manufacturing, which currently dominates the mass timber products. However, to fully capture this opportunity, Michigan will also need to tap into its hardwood forests. Utilizing hardwood for mass timber products like cross-laminated timber is still very new, but being pioneered at Michigan Tech.
Of the few universities doing research in cross-laminated timber, there's only, I think, 2 or 3 working on hardwood, and Michigan Tech is not only leading in that area, but we are focused on species that grow in Michigan, and we're the only ones doing that. Michigan's forests are 70% hardwood, and so if Michigan wants to really engage in the mass timber and utilize the wood supplies that might be available with the decline of paper, for instance, then we really need to better understand how we can use hardwood in mass timber. Hardwood cross-laminated timber is a very different proposition than softwood. Hardwoods have very different physical properties, and they have different, really economic profiles, meaning they cost more, but there are low-grade hardwoods that currently go into the pulp market that would be suitable for mass timber. So it's a question of exploring those properties, understanding how they would fit and what specifically those hardwood applications would have, because they won't be the same applications as softwood in a mass timber setting. So we're still learning and understanding what those will be.
It's not just the researchers that are excited about mass timber. There are loggers that look forward to the opportunity to give the trees they harvest more value.
I feel the mass timber buildings are a possible wave of the future. I mean, there appears to be plenty of wood volume. We're growing more wood every year than we harvest. And the technology today, I mean, they're doing it already. We're always looking for more demand for our products. So timber frame buildings would be one possibility. I think it could be something that could definitely change the industry in the future.
While the premise of mass timber production in the UP is promising, it's not the only way to create high-value products with Michigan wood.
The chemistry side of wood is also very exciting. You know, and there's a pretty established saying that anything you can make from oil, you can make from wood. Even though there's a long history of wood products derived from wood chemistry, there are also some really exciting new breakthroughs in that area, and these have a wide range of applications in industries that we have here right in Michigan, including automotive, defense sector, chemicals, biopharmaceuticals, and even, I think, the office furniture sector.
Researchers at Ford Motor Company are among those leading the way when it comes to incorporating these new wood-based materials into their automotive manufacturing.
So in our lab, we try to look at interesting material for automotive applications, and we look at what we can use from nature in our vehicles, because nature is very smart and produces really interesting material for us, because the materials coming from the nature is renewable materials, and the materials is lighter than our current materials. If you have a lightweight materials, you will have better fuel economy for your vehicle. This materials also is run perfectly in our process, and we can produce more part in the same time versus the traditional materials. So look at the picture. You get lighter materials and you got sustainable products, you have process improvements, and your materials is renewable. So it is a beautiful story over there. But in North America, we would like to use more forest-based material from Michigan because it's a good story. The Ford is a Michigan-based company. We would like to use our local source for our own implementation on our vehicles. And I see there are lots of opportunities in automotive applications. We are using 700 pounds of the plastics in our mid-size SUVs. 42% of them is polypropylene and TPO-based material. So we can use in polypropylene and TPO forest-based products. So let's say we use 10%, we are talking about the 30 to 40 million pounds of the forest-based products can use on the Ford vehicles. So that's a big number. So let's think about if the GM, Chrysler, if they use this material, we can just generate lots of volume, and it will be really good for state economy. It will be good for our vehicles. And I think we can generate more money and more employment for the people.
The rise of new technologies like this creates a new demand for wood. And if the UP could capture this demand, it would harken back to the early days of Ford, when the company relied on UP wood to roll out their vehicles.
It is coming from our DNA, because if you go back to 100 years ago, Henry Ford is already looking at this kind of materials. We are really following his footsteps. He tried to make it cars entirely or mostly from wood-based products and use UP trees in his vehicles. So it's amazing.
We have a history of that, right? When you look at Henry Ford and what he did with the automotive industry here, that was a big part of the Upper Peninsula economy. And that's exactly why I would say we are really uniquely situated to be a leader with the bioeconomy.
Another company that would love to utilize Michigan wood in advanced materials operates in the defense sector and is already located in the UP. Creative Composites, based out of Rapid River, is a ready customer and looking forward to utilizing our forests in their business.
Well, we design and analyze and engineer any structure that requires the benefits of composite materials, including carbon fiber, fiberglass, Kevlar reinforced plastics. I think carbon fiber is going to be the next steel. You know, the barriers to that being used more widely than it has been cost. And carbon fiber made with a renewable feedstock is lower in cost, renewable. It's a good thing to pursue, not just from a business standpoint, but all the other reasons why you want to use renewable materials. We've been aware of attempts to use wood lignin for carbon fiber manufacture for the better part of 10 years or so. And then when we found out that there was some work being done on that at Michigan Tech, we became very interested in starting that conversation to actually manufacture the carbon fiber here locally. The raw materials are here. It's a sustainable industry, but also the quality of the hardwoods and the lignin coming from the local hardwoods in the Upper Peninsula has been shown to be superior to most other feedstocks available. That results in a better carbon fiber, a higher quality carbon fiber. It's got a lot of upside, not just for us, not just for making carbon fiber, but for the local community, the local economy. You know, having an industry that could be multi-generational is very interesting.
These opportunities in the forest economy could not only help with the current declining demand for wood for low-value products like graphic paper, but also create even more demand which could serve as a boon to the UP's economy. However, getting to that point will require some help.
What we're seeking is right now that the state, the federal government realize there's a major opportunity with the bioeconomy and bioproducts and begin to provide funding for research, incentives for industry and startup companies to take advantage of this emerging industry.
I truly believe if the government give incentive, if government push more sustainable products or forest products, or pushing more forest bioeconomy, and I think we will do more and we will deliver more together.
So we feel like we've got the vast forest resources in Michigan that can be managed in a sustainable way. And they're already doing this in Finland and some of the Nordic countries to produce these bioproducts and move towards a circular economy.
In addition to help from the federal and state governments, Michigan is looking to companies from Nordic countries like Finland to invest in the bioeconomy here. And there are a lot of reasons why it could be the perfect fit.
We've made initial outreach to companies in Finland who are engaged in the bioproducts industry, looking to attract those companies here, realizing that we have these vast harvestable forest resources and they could apply their technologies here and grow companies in the UP and in Michigan.
To add more incentive to the idea of a Michigan collaboration with Finland, representatives from the two regions actually met in March of 2020 to sign the Memorandum of Understanding between Michigan and Finland, which launched a partnership to develop solutions for clean technology, smart mobility, and the sustainable forest bioeconomy.
Last March, the state of Michigan signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment of Finland. Today, Michigan is excited to work alongside Finland to identify sustainable growth opportunities in the automotive, maritime, and sustainable forest bioeconomy industries.
We're thrilled about this memo of understanding between Finland and Michigan, and both of the regions share a lot of similarities. Both have, a real high-tech focus, a lot of natural resources, not to mention, of course, the Finnish ancestry here in Michigan. So, with the combined efforts between Finland and Michigan, I think there's opportunities for us to collaborate and bring some of their technologies here and figure out how we can adapt those towards our own unique forest resources and opportunities with Michigan's strategic sectors.
Acts like the creation of this Memo of Understanding set the precedent for how motivated policymakers are in driving the economy forward in innovative ways.
So unlike some areas where I think there's a disconnect between needs in areas and engagement with policymakers, we're really blessed that if there is an opportunity, you have policymakers that are at the ready to engage. So if you need regulatory barriers moved or changed, they're glad to participate in that process.
When you add it all together, there are many reasons why Michigan's Upper Peninsula would be a perfect place to center the forest bioeconomy.
I think there are 4 reasons why we're really uniquely situated to lead with the bioeconomy. So first is our culture. So we have a history of using natural resources and using them really well and being good stewards and using sustainably and strategically. And we have a really strong work ethic. Additionally, we're innovators. So we've got a history of innovation. We're entrepreneurs. And so I think when you look at the bioeconomy, you're looking at innovation. We have an abundance of engineers in the area that kind of lead to that innovative thinking. And then lastly, it's our institutions. For a rural area, we are really blessed. We have 4 universities, 3 public universities, 1 world-class research institution, and we also have 4 community colleges. So when you look at the opportunity for critical thinking, innovative thinking, and all that comes with having students here, and what that might mean to the talent equation, I think that also is really part of the reason we're well situated to lead the bioeconomy.
Definitely through my study here and through whatever time is left here, I'm sure by the time I graduate from here, I'll have so much more knowledge about what sustainability is. And on a professional level, I guess I would still want to continue working in this area to learn more and also to share the knowledge I gained through my PhD experience.
To get to the bioeconomy, research is really important, and universities do research. We train future researchers and workers, but we also need to make sure those discoveries and those inventions get to market. And we need to do a better job at connecting the research that's done at universities to the marketplace. We also have to bear in mind that consumers need to make the right choices, right? Consumers need to be educated on bio-based products and make sure that their choices are reflecting the best sustainable solutions.
In the end, the Upper Peninsula relies heavily on the forest products industry, and for it to continue to provide prosperity, it needs a new way forward. The bioeconomy can be that new way forward.
We can propel the bioeconomy and circular economy forward in Michigan and realize that we've got a unique opportunity here and that the timing is really right to take advantage of our vast forest resources that we can utilize to create higher value wood products and produce these more environmentally friendly, lower carbon emitting products while creating jobs and helping our economy.
If applications can be successfully made with the lignin-based carbon products, it's going to be something that's sustainable and going to have quite a demand for a long time. That's just a gut feeling, but that's sort of exciting to think that we could be starting something that's going to be here for generations.
I see that the future is very bright and very clear, and I see huge potential for the forest bioeconomy. If you tell them, the people, we are using forest-based material from Michigan, people love this kind of stories. That's why we have to push together.
I'm very hopeful about better future in terms of bioeconomy, because I think everyone is now realizing that they can do their part in making things better on a global environmental context.
I think that at the end of the day, we really care about the land with which we've been entrusted here. I think that speaks to what's in our heart here, that although we desire economic opportunity, we want to do so responsibly because we know we only have that economic opportunity so long as we're good stewards. We don't want it to come at the cost of the area that we truly love.
So I think if we take a step back and look at the big picture, we have to find a way to decouple economic growth from our degrading of the environment. Some people don't think this is actually possible, but this is exactly the expectation and promise of the bioeconomy. I think we can get both prosperity and sustainability, and this is incredibly exciting and very realistic. In fact, I think it's just a matter of time. We can see countries around the world creating bioeconomy plans and getting government, universities, and industry all on the same page and moving forward. So I think there is no doubt that the time is now. We just have to get together and do it.